Welcome to episode 148 of Dragon's Tome. We're going over issue 148 of Dragon Magazine. We're going every issue chronologically from 1 to 1 million. We don't know how many issues there are. We never looked ahead. So this one is, August 1989. I'm Rob.
I'm Jack.
And I'm Chopper.
And that's us. This cover is by Ned Dameron. It's called Warriors, and it's a warrior scaling a parapet about to be axed.
Yeah, I think this parapet guy is in deep trouble.
The guy underneath or the guy above?
The guy underneath.
Oh yeah, he's about to get an axe.
I mean, the guy up top may lose a knee.
Yeah,
maybe a calf, but that axe is going to go right through that hand and that rope, and he's going around,
down.
Yeah.
It was funny. They said it's just a coincidence that it's similar to the last month's, because it was the White Witch on the parapet with two dragon heads, and it's like, oh, it's similar, but it's just a coincidence, quinky dink.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, unless you hadn't said that, I wouldn't even really notice that these were kind of dragons.
Yeah,
more like lizards.
I wouldn't have really noticed that either, except for Roger E. Moore mentioned in.
They look like iguanas.
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 Yeah. I'll actually explain why Margie E. Moore mentions it right now. If you want to go to the editor, we done with the cover.
Sure.
And it's a very good cover. I like the guy at the top. Nice red beard. He looks like some kind of half naked paladin fighting off a half naked barbarian. It looks like. So
yep.
Fun.
I will say that the barbarian, he too has also skipped a little bit of leg day. And/or has a tapeworm because his waist is skin deep.
Yeah, it's hard work to be a fighter. So,
well, you want to be lit though when you're climbing parapets, right? You don't want to drag all that weight up those ropes.
It's true.
So.
He went all that way just to be killed at the very top. That's the only problem. Yeah. It's like the guy waited till he got that far. He could have just cut the rope or knocked the hook off, but no, he waited.
No, when you cut someone's rope, you want to be looking him right in the eye. You can't be like.
I was just gonna cut late earlier, but
what I envision is he's gonna cut that rope and then he's gonna blow that horn. Wah wah wah
wah wah wah wah. All I heard is you make fun of me as I'm dying. Okay, let's go to page 7 after we've made fun of the poor dead guy.
We went from a buttery smooth segue, like, hey, you know what? Speaking of Roger E. Moore, and then we went into doing Family Guy-esque bits.
It's true.
And then there was a fat barbarian. Hey, I'm a horn guy. Yeah.
The letter to the editor, or the editor's letter, I guess it's technically. The reason I bring this up is because he mentions that the covers, because it's all about the idea of people creating similar things independently versus actual plagiarism. So, like, the two covers were similar, but they obviously never saw each other. So, it's it's just a quinky dink. But other times, it's not. Like, he tells of a author who submitted a story to Amazing Magazine that was a complete copy of an Arthur C. Clarke story. like you wouldn't get caught. But it took them 3 read-throughs before they're like, wait a second, I've read this before. But yeah, he said that person got punished in some way. Hopefully they hunted him down and murdered him. They sent Arthur C. Clarke's ghost to eat him alive, Lich style. Another one was a kid who submitted one of the ecologies, probably a Greenwood one, in class to a teacher, but the teacher knew about AD&D and caught them. I would never plagiarize something from a Dragon magazine.
Oh, I bet you it wasn't a Greenwood one. I bet you it was one of the ones of the couple of ones that I read was just like, why is ecology is just like horses or whatever it was.
Yeah. Something that could be, not fantasy. That's funny.
I remember talking about it, and I remember putting in my notes, this is really just a biology book that we're reading. So maybe the kid submitted it to
biology class,
the Dragon, and then said, oh, it's good enough for Dragon. It's good enough for my biology teacher.
Yeah, he also says certain things are sent in constantly, like similar magic items or every dragon color imaginable. So stop sending in dragons. but yeah, it's just all about what do they call that? When two different people at the same time invent something. It's got a name. I can't remember what it's called.
It's bad coding in the Matrix.
That too. That could be that too. The Matrix. Everybody has the same idea. Anyways, yeah. So it's my letter to editor. Who wants to go first? Do I have to pick? Pat wants to go first. He put his hand up. So Pat, what page?
We're going to go to page 21.
21. Tracking down the
Tracking
barbarian.
down the barbarian. Creating better barbarians for first edition AD&D.
Useless.
As I read this is the quick fix for the Unearthed Arcana, which was way too OP. I think what he does, he takes away the two biggest things that the barbarian had problems with, was the being able to hit a magical creature with a non-magical weapon, and these crazy save bonuses that they had. Like it was like
immune to magic,
+4
pretty much.
Breath weapons. Like
Yeah.
I played this barbarian, and I was fighting a red dragon. Everyone else had run, and I just stood there.
You were able to take it, yeah.
Well, I didn't know I was able to take it. I was running around screaming like a little girl, but still fighting back. But I was making all my saves and taking, whatever damage you make, half damage.
Half damage, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I was getting hurt, but I wasn't dying,
Well, this was my article as well, and I will say I took away something different than that. So at some point, I might need to step in and say, "Hey."
I think you just did. Hey.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
I mean, I wasn't that. So that was the first part of the article. And the second part of the article, they just move in to describe the different types of barbarians and add more flavor to the barbarians, for the barbarian types. And I think that's where Jack was going to step in.
Yes.
Okay, Jack, please step in.
Please feel able to step in.
Oh, okay. The original barbarian in Unearthed Arcana, mechanically, like Pat was saying, was not refined. It was a first draft situation, and what it lacked in a lot of people's eyes was the barbarian being this particular idea of a barbarian. Like all barbarians are Conan, or all
Mhm.
barbarians.
I think that's
are,
exactly where the mold was started in
Yeah,
the
for
initial
sure.
one, was Conan the Barbarian.
which is not bad, but certainly there's plenty of room for what abouts. And what Carl does is he goes through and splits up proficiencies and different abilities into and gives them to certain types of barbarians that more archetypal.
Yeah,
Barbarians
geographical, more geographical nomads.
So if you think, oh, okay, what about the barbarians? I'm thinking about are the Huns from the Steppe Plains. Okay, well then you'd look and you'd see
Mounted
that one.
nomads, yeah.
Yeah, and then of course you got the Northmen, you got the Viking barbarians. Look,
Yeah, it's fun. This is something you could actually use in second edition, where it'd be like, oh, okay, I want to base it off this. Maybe not
Yeah.
use the exact stats, but at least the idea of it,
but I think
And I'm
this.
sure that brown book that comes out, if
Oh,
one comes out for barbarians, there would be these.
It might.
pretty-
I don't know. I can't even remember.
Well, I don't know. It might have been part of the fighter one. I don't
But
remember.
yeah, I think just getting rid of those two big things was a giant. Oh, and his ability to detect magic and illusions without just inherently. Without
Once again,
having-
that's a Conan thing. Conan
Yeah.
was magic didn't really work on Conan. That's all that's based on.
Yeah. So that being said, then I think where the article really shines is the fixes and the different types of geographical barbarians, so you can refine your barbarian character, so you're not contained to a stereotype.
Yeah, that's fun. That's fun.
But that is my first article.
Jack, what is your first article?
My first and last article would be on page 37, please.
Arcane lore?
Arcane lore. This goes into describing the video game Arcane, in which there's a little Bruce Kavam. He's got a little blurb here about a kind of little flavor text. What we're going to do is we're going to go down just a little bit. He starts with, hey, clerics and wizards are different. That's important. You got to keep that in mind when you're tinkering with stuff. But then he says, why can't magic users heal? Okay, well, I think you answered your question in the first paragraph, but hey, let's go along for this journey. Carl, come on, let's see what you got.
Let's go.
And he does, again, he mentioned why it's important that there's a definite separation between the two, and then proceeds to give spells that mimic healing but doesn't overlap with clerical spells that give healing, that a magic user could use. I'm not going to say one way or the other whether it's necessary or a good idea even. I could see an NPC, there's a backstory there of a magic user who wants to heal and his power set is different and he's hell-bent on saving his aging grandmother or his pet donkey. I don't know. But the meat and potatoes is the spells, and there's a couple here that are like giving hit points through magic, splitting damage through magic, replacing limbs through magic. All things that are cleric-ish, but not full-on.
Well, it is interesting that there's like all these cost something instead of a cleric getting it for free. The healing is a small temporary byproduct of another effect, and you have to like give up some of your life to give to other person, or like there's always a side effect, like instead of being just hey your god fixed you. So it's kind of makes more sense for magic. There's going to be a cost, which I think that's kind of cool. So you could heal somebody, but you're also going to lose a certain amount of hit points, or you lose a year of your life,
or more importantly, you lose the fact that that's not a fireball when everyone's going, okay, it's your turn, step up, let's see what you got, and you're like,
oh, I have a heal spell here just in case.
I can put some of my meager hit points into someone else who needs it. What are you talking about? Just shoot a fireball. Do your job.
Do your job. You had one job.
I tried not to come down on one side of the argument or other. I said I wouldn't.
And you did.
I apologize to Carl.
Jack doesn't like magic users healing. That's what we've learned.
I just think that there's a dynamic. It's a balance. When you make a party, for an NPC, and it'd be like an interesting backstory. But if you step up and go, okay, we need the heavy hitters. Come on up, Usador, we need your powers, and then it's like, yeah, guess what? I can give a phantom limb to someone who
lost one.
Okay, I guess so. But
thanks for that.
What say you? What do you believe in your heart of hearts about this?
Comment below.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you were asking us?
No. Yes.
No.
I don't know. I'm not.
Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. That's right.
There's a reason why they have the classes.
Otherwise, nobody'd ever play a cleric.
Yeah. Oh, but the problem is then you're taking up much needed offensive spells for a magic user.
I think you shouldn't have clerics or magic users in your party.
For them to heal themselves, you know what I'm saying? That
it's all paladins. Speaking of which, let's go to page 26.
All right, that was one of mine.
Segue. Look at this.
That was going to be Rob.
Segue.
Another silky smooth transition. Did you see that? It's
good
like on the TikTok where they're wearing one thing, they're doing a little dance, and they move their hand, and all of a sudden
they're naked. Sorry, I'm not looking at TikToks. Good does not mean good does not mean boring. Paladins are far more complicated than you might think. It's kind of neat. Once again, this is kind of like a first edition thing, but still, there's some stuff you can use because, just like the Barbarian, they have different types of paladins. So they have Justice Paladins, and they give an example like Judge Dredd or Batman, and they have to fight evil and right wrongs. There's War Paladins, which have to kill evil, extremely aggro. They have to kill, and they will kill even if they detect evil in a crowd. They'll just go murder that person. The law isn't lawful. It's not lawful to man's law, but to his own code. So he may be lawful good, but he'll be murdering people left, right, and center. Glory, which are shining examples of goodness and great leaders, and he does it for good rep. which is kind of like the regular paladin, and defense, which is protect innocents, defend the weak, liberate the oppressed, and safety of the innocent is most paramount. So back down for fights even if people would get hurt, which is very different from what paladins are supposed to be. They're supposed to be like, oh, someone's evil, you can't stop fighting. But this is kind of like, no, you could back down. I thought that was really neat. Once again, so it's a little more interesting because paladins, I kind of tend to play my paladins as smarmy assholes, so who are better than everybody else. But this Scott Beanie who wrote this is kind of giving options.
Yeah, I will say, because I read this too, and this is another one that kind of throws shade at Unearthed Arcana. I feel like there's a lot of these articles are throwing shade at you because they lumped them in with the Cavalier. Yeah, in Unearthed
Arcana, the Paladins and Cavaliers were lumped together, and they're like, no, that's two different things. So
yeah, especially because in history-wise, Cavaliers were not good people.
Well, they tended to be the rich, so the rich are generally not good people. But
taking say people from an age of the Crusades, paladins of certain, and then say, oh, but also lords of the the Middle Ages, or like
anybody on a horse.
Yeah, like you get a armored warrior, you throw them together, but then if you start taking some of the archetypes and saying, well, you mushing them together, then why are they not fighters then?
Yeah,
that's a fighter.
Yeah, all those fighters. Yeah, that's right. He's a fighter on a horse. That's the difference.
To have nuances available, different types, I think is good for role playing, good for the players, good for a good story in a campaign. I see no downside.
Yeah,
I prefer it. When I play a paladin, because I don't play paladins a lot, but when I do play a paladin, it's a paladin of justice.
Justice, yeah.
I
tend to go glory, but
ends don't justify the means.
I can safely say I've never played a paladin.
It's not something that I would ever see you play. I don't think I've ever seen you play.
I don't go out of my way to play paladin, but in a couple tournaments, I've been given a paladin to play.
More interesting things in this article is which type you are is determined by your god, which makes sense, and also determined by your religion is if you're poor or chaste, or because lots of paladins in real life had children and who were also paladins, so you're not always chaste, you're not always poor. A lot of them are lords, and they also said that paladins of different religions probably wouldn't get along and have rivalries, because they have different agendas, and the whole thing about Cavaliers, he really goes into that a lot, which I thought was kind of tenuous at best, because that was only because of Unearthed Arcana. But I just you can play them differently. You don't have to be a boring Boy Scout or a pompous ass. You can be different, which is fun. And next time I play Paladin, maybe I'll choose to play another different type of Paladin that would normally wouldn't play. So there you go. Because I will play a Paladin again. Who are you? We're to Pat.
Let's go to my last article, which would be page 17.
This is one of mine too. Yep.
Always wear your best suit. Just a small article basically on different ways to make your armor unique to you. You can enamel, engrave, you can plate using different metals, or you can use different types of metals. And there's a little thing here if you use different types of metals.
Bonuses and
armor class bonus you lose or gain. Mm-hmm. Things like this. This article was nice. It's not very long. It was very informative, but it was more for when you create your background story than doing anything else. And I hate to use the word session zero, but this is an article you would use for that.
I also see it as something that you want to attain. Like, I want to get adamantite armor. So you're like, I want to go for that. Like, you keep trying to. I like how it's really a lot of prices, which is the thing. Like, a lot of time you're like, I don't know how much this would cost, but it tells you all like how much. Like, it's 1,000% the cost to make it adamantite. So it's like, well, I want to save up and get that kind of armor because it's really good, or a kind of weapon. It's kind of fun. I think it just gives a lot more uniqueness to different armor types instead of just saying, I got plate mail, but now my plate mail is decorated with this and like that kind of engraving and stuff. I could see that as being more session zero, like where it's just like I got it from my grandfather, it's enameled with this or whatever, but or maybe as you get better, you're like, okay, I want to look better, so I'm gonna
Yeah, I mean, for the
spend the
most
money.
part, a lot of this can you be using in the beginning, character creation, sit downs, and then the rest can be used in game as you move along and start to make more money, find more things, kind of thing. So
And some of the armor types, like the metal types, is that be stuff you find. You're like, oh, I just found plate mail. Oh, what's it made out of? Oh, it's made out of copper. Well, it's still better
yeah,
than my chain mail, but it's
yeah,
but it's
Anything
not as good.
personalized. We've talked about how having a familiar or a pet. We've talked about having a keeper or something like that. Anything that you've earned, personalized, and made your own becomes dear to you as the character. So if at some point you're like, I want to make this armor, and it becomes, something you're like a
once
focus
again,
point of the character.
yeah, or like an artifact that you could pass down to your children, kind of thing. Especially as a character gets older, if they survive that long, you want to have more of almost like a heirloom. Yeah,
yeah.
coolio. That was Pat's, right? Yeah, I jumped in, but it was Pat's. Jack, do you have any more articles?
No, I am tapped.
I'm curious if I have any more articles. Yes, I do, because there's a really good, cool thing in this one. Because the big insert in this is the Deck of Many Things. So,
Oh yeah, I thought for sure Jack would have taken this thing.
Deck of Many Things is one of the best. Once again, we talked to Wanda Wonder last week. This time,
What
Deck
page
of Many
is that?
Things. Oh, 46 is where they discuss it, and then at the back is where all the cards are. But yeah, Deck of Many Things, one of the ultimate random things that you're like, you find it and you're like, do I want to draw a card? Because most of them are bad, but you always draw the card because it's fun.
Yeah.
But I like the descriptions. This gives it, it's almost like an ecology of the Deck of Many Things, so it's kind of fun. And then then it actually shows the actual deck, and you can print them out. You could have printed out your own Deck of Many Things from this book.
Print it out, put on some card stocks.
Yep. So
I was certain that Pat was going to do this because it is an ecology of the Deck of Many Things, which is interesting.
I thought you were going to do it because it's the Deck of Many Things.
But
And
then to have a printable version, like,
yeah, it's fun.
I drew my own at one point, and I had that, and I had to glue my pictures on the back of playing cards, and it was it was pretty hokey looking. But at the time, it was awesome, but it was, it was just an artsy craftsy thing. Have that looks dope in 1989. Come on, that'd be amazing.
It is amazing. Anybody else got any other articles? Pat?
No, I'm done.
Jack?
I'm done for articles.
I actually have a on page 7 again. There's a letter. It's just a funny one because somebody says that you misidentified one of the mechs in the through the looking glass section, and they go into this whole screed about no, it was Fasta screwed up. They goes on about explaining that they named this the wrong thing, and then it was back and forth. In the end, it's like, well, we mistakenly named it what we named it, but it turned out to be the right thing that we named it, which I thought was a funny little thing. And it's so don't Ben Zed Gillian, don't tell them they got it wrong because somehow they got it right. And FASA was known for making typos, so it's not surprised that they misnamed an Oscout as an Ostol or whatever it was. I can't remember which way it was, but anyways,
Well,
they all look the same anyways.
Canonically, Zed's dead.
Zed is dead in Garland, Texas.
Dead, baby.
Ads. Jack, do you have an ad?
I do. Could we please go to page 48?
48.
Follow me along to 48, where we discuss
Gamma Rotters.
It's Gamma Rotters, but this is for a supplement. So let me just step back from this ad, then we can work our way forward.
Okay.
So the original Gamma Rotters game, never heard of it. I don't know.
Oh no, I remember the ads.
The name sounds familiar, but I can't picture.
Isn't it? Wasn't people? They were on. It was almost like cybernetic dinosaurs, I think, wasn't it?
It, as described, it is the 50s sci-fi movies tropes. So it's giant, lizards and robots and all that stuff. And this is a board game.
Oh, the real
Okay.
Game Marauders is I think an RPG originally.
Oh, okay. So this is the Revenge of the Factoids, bigger, badder Bioborgs.
Pretty
Okay,
much. Yep.
sounds familiar. Um,
50-foot tall mutant animal machines.
this new game makes the world's zaniest fantasy board game even
Oh,
zanier.
I guess it
So
is a board game.
original
Yeah,
was a board game with new factoid cards and expanded rules and maps. And I'm like, okay, I've never heard of this. So, but that okay, so now there's a game, a supplement I don't know of. How much deeper can this rabbit hole go? Now in the bottom corner it says, and don't miss the monthly Gamma Marauders comics by DC Comics.
hmm
So somehow under my radar was a full ass game
I can't believe you've never heard of Game Marauders. I remember the ads. That's all.
with multiple, and then there was a comic about it.
Well,
I
I'm
had
curious
no
how
idea.
long I know DC had all the TSR comics because they did the D&D comics, so I'm sure that's why they did Game Marauders.
Yeah, they did the Dragonlance comics.
Yeah,
And I had a few of those, yeah.
yeah, I had two, but
So yeah, yet another game in this massive catalog that TSR had that
yeah,
it's shocking.
And I
how
will
The
point
Game
out,
Marauders-
that these are all board games that are just coming out.
yeah, Game Marauders. I don't think it was like board game is loosely. It's like saying Dead Zone's a board game, right? I don't think it's really a board game. I think it's more of a hybrid, you know. But the comic lasted 10 issues, so that's probably why you missed the comic. But I definitely remember the ads because it was always like a T-Rex with like cybernetic parts all over it. I'm trying to see if I can find a picture of it. Probably won't show up, but
I got it.
Eh.
It's a board. The board looks like Dungeon.
I think you're thinking of Dino Riders, Rob.
no, this was
yeah.
before. This is like pre-Dino Riders.
No, I believe that's unless you're thinking about Mask.
Nas
But I
didn't
think
have
you're thinking-
dinosaurs. But yeah,
So
it
you're
was the
thinking
same
of
idea.
Dino Riders.
It is same as similar to Dino Riders. But it was like it was cybernetic big monsters and you fought them. I didn't know the game was about. I just saw the ads. So
Well, it says it claims to be about all kinds of tropes, the robots and all the
I think the Bioborgs are the big draw though. That's those things, the cybernetically enhanced monsters. So
Yeah, the 50 tall monster mutant animal machines.
yeah, it's just one of those things that it was another one of those TSR
I've never
games that
seen
came
this
out.
game. It sounds familiar. Maybe I saw the comic book, but I don't
Once again,
remember this game.
I'm sure. I bet we'll have come across more ads for it because I definitely remember the ads. So
you let us know when we get
Well,
one. You go,
yeah,
that's the one.
that's it,
the one right there.
for sure. Pat, do you have an ad?
I do. Let's go to page 101.
It's at the end. Star Wars.
This is the Return of the Jedi set, which I don't have. And now that I know that it's here, guess what I'm going to do?
Find it.
I'm going to find it and get it because I have the New Hope and I have Empire Strikes Back. So I must
Oh, it
round
comes
up.
with Admiral Akbar and the Emperor.
It's a trap.
I don't know what this art's from. That's like it's crazy art.
Yeah.
Some girl making a deal with some weird alien.
So I
Just
need this to complete the 3 set, the original 3 set.
That art looks like if you described the cantina scene from Star Wars
with Greedo.
If you if you were trying to describe the hammerhead,
then
No,
maybe
it's-
maybe this is what the
this
hammerhead
is-
guy would look like in concept art.
This is Greedo about to be shot by Han, but Han is actually Hannah, and the Greedo is slightly different.
I'm going to update because that is a reference I would make today. I would say someone described the cantina scene to AI,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
then they would be like, it gender swapped, I guess. So I wonder why. Well, I never said it had a giraffe neck. Greedo had a giraffe neck.
And what's that
didn't add
little
a
puppet
little
guy
monkey
beside?
man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He looks very stoned right now, like he's tripping
He's
balls.
like, oh man,
he's making a noise.
It's about to go
and it
down,
turns up.
dude.
He's
And
making
I
a
think
noise.
it's very weird that the bar has a Millennium Falcon cockpit window.
Yeah. It's themed.
Yeah,
But
it's-
when I told AI it's Star Wars based, they went, okay, Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
and the chess game on there. Yeah, that's great.
Let the Wookiee win.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
that's
digress.
true. It does look like an AI art. Let us go for my ad. I only have one ad, and that's going to be on page 5. It's got nothing to do with anything, but it's Columbia House. The classic
Yeah.
Columbia House. I like how there's a Columbia House ad in Dragon Magazine because there was a Columbia House ad in literally everything. The blow-ins were in everything. They just followed the magazines randomly.
That's where I got most of my CDs.
Oh, I got
Rob,
so many.
are you going to elaborate?
Not
Are you going
tapes.
to divulge your criminal syndicate? Or are we
Oh, it wasn't
gonna
me. I wasn't the criminal. I actually paid for mine. It was I think it was a friend Dwayne who was the criminal syndicate.
Are you kidding me? I took family members from the Philippines and put their names on these things.
Yeah, yeah. I never did that. I was a good boy.
Man.
My very first
You and-
cassette I got from
you and
Columbia House. My
Dave.
very first CD was from Columbia House. No, it wasn't me. It was Dwayne. I think was a real bad person. I was a good boy. I paid for all my CDs.
No, I paid the penny and then or the dollar or whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the end of that. And then the next person in line in the Philippines who can't be traced in America, who doesn't have a social security number.
Look at these albums though: Living Color, Roy Orbison, Debbie Gibson, Skid Row, Cyndi Lauper, and Guns N' Roses.
I had those too, but my sister had this Debbie Gibson CD.
Well, obviously you had the Debbie Gibson CD. Come on, admit it.
She was a cutie. I'm not gonna lie. I thought she was pretty hot back then.
But yeah, Columbia House was that was my introduction to getting my
I
own
wasn't
tapes
doing the
and
Living
CDs.
Color though. I like Living Color more now than I did then.
Yeah. Tesla, look at that. Tiffany, Metal Giants, various artists. That might be a fun one.
It's Freedom Rock, baby. All right, whose turn is it?
It's Jack's again, I guess. Jack, any more ads?
No.
Pat, any more ads?
All right, I am going to kind of go off the beaten path like Rob.
Okay.
We're going to go to page 77.
Which
This
one?
caught my eye. They eat right, live long, and prosper.
Of course, because it's bulk.
And I was like, what is this? And then I realized it's an ad for the American Cancer Society to tell you how to eat correctly.
High fiber
then-
foods.
And then I'm like, here's the American, my note says, American Cancer Society using nerddom to promote proper health.
They probably saw a huge spike in colon cancer in all these role-playing game guys. So
And then, so while I was digesting this, why is the American Cancer Society ad in Dragon Magazine? I glanced up to the far top left and saw Supremacy.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, Supremacy went from a full color ad whittled down to one little text ad.
This is where ads go to die. This little area.
Yeah. So apparently, Supremacy wasn't that good of a game.
It's still around today, I think so.
Yeah, but look, full color page ad. Now we're down to a square.
I'm pretty sure I had character portraits done at some point too. So
At some point, when your ad campaign can't be constant, like the fans you have are the fans you have at some point, and until something gets released, you don't need to keep doing like full expensive. That's just cutting into your profit margin.
Yeah.
I believe I see in future magazines Supremacy again. So I don't know. Maybe this is just between editions, or there's nothing out right now.
Well, we will keep an eye out because I'm
look at this custom leather goods. You could get something made out of kid skin. Those bastards.
Ooh.
I assume it means kids as in baby sheep, but
Well, once they've died in the sweatshop, what are they going to do?
might as well use them. Yeah.
Might as well use
The
them.
laws were different back then.
Yeah.
The laws were different back then.
If you want a
You
rabbit
worked.
fur
You
dice
worked.
bag,
I don't care. If you didn't want to go to school, you worked. That's how it was back then.
Pat, how far is Rockford,
the
Illinois
mines.
from you?
It's about an hour.
Well, you could go get your rabbit fur dice bag if you want that.
We drive by Rock. Well, it's also the meth capital of Illinois, so
It explains the skinning of animals and making them into bags.
we drive by it on our way to Noble Night.
The other way. Yeah. Pat, any more ads?
I have one more, and we'll go to the
Excellent.
next page.
78?
SSI,
The
Yeah.
real stuff.
the real stuff.
I don't know what that means. It's not the real stuff. It's the exact opposite of real stuff. But hey,
All these games
yeah.
were the mainstay to my computer RPG playing.
Oh, yeah.
Ultima and
I don't know if I ever played Hillsfire, but
I
I
can't remember
definitely
the other
played.
game. Those games are the ones that started me, but these gold boxes were the ones that kept me playing.
I definitely played tons of Pool of Radiance and tons of Curse of Azure Bonds. I don't know if I ever played Hillsfire,
Yeah.
but classics, you would say. I'm sure you could play them on the browser now. You probably
Yeah,
easy.
we talked many times about these things, but like I said, and I keep talking about Pool of Radiance. AOL ported. It made one of the first online games where you could log in AOL, go to Pool of Radiance, and play Pool of Radiance with
That's
whoever.
cool.
Well, you guys are talking fondly about these games here. I'm sure they had graphics that were nice and everything that kept you entertained and stuff. By today's standards, probably unplayable, but definitely at the time, I've had my mind blown by games coming out, 10, 20 years ago, and you remember fondly, but
oh yeah,
primitive.
these are very primitive. It's a lot of sprites moving on screens and and shooting fireballs everywhere. Fun times.
Yeah. So, but that's it for my ads. I just it was a nice colored ad, and it had all the games, and we're coming to the age now where
big release
computers are going to be a big role in RPGs.
Another reason why poor TSR is going downhill. It's probably the only successful part of their business, but they probably didn't make much
SSI
off of
was they were good. SSI was smart licensing TSR, and
yeah, but I wonder how much they paid to them because it must not have been too much.
Well, after a while, SSI, they tanked too.
Yeah, as most video games.
But they made a lot of good games. Like Panzer General was another SSI game I played. It was turn-based World War II one that was pretty awesome.
It's probably based on the board game owned by TSR.
Yeah.
Well, that was tell us what SSI game was your favorite back in the day in the comments below, please. Other than that, like, share, subscribe, comment to Jack because he loves the comments, and he's pointing at his groin again. I don't know why.
As you've instructed.
Do you have to go pee-pee? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not a small child on a train talking to Doc Brown.
Okay.
If you go pee-pee, we'll get ice cream.
Ice cream. Yes, we'll be back next week for another exciting episode of The Dragon's Tome. Until then, find us online. Not like literally. Don't stalk us or anything, but
find us on the YouTubes.
And on Facebook and on Twitter. We're all over the place. like Pat's shorts.
Like our shorts, because
eat his shorts.
I'm trying my best.
Yeah, so please enjoy. And we'll see you next week. My name's been Rob.
I'm Jack.
And I'm Chopper.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow. Wow.
Oh.